Hi, my name is Israel Pedra, and I'm here with attorney David Tencza. We're both attorneys at Welts, Fontaine in Nashua, and we are coming to you today from our homes and want to discuss a couple things relating to the current logistical situations that have been created by the COVID pandemic. So I'll start quickly with a description of what is going on at Welts, Fontaine. We are open for business. Our office is physically open and we are accepting new clients. Most of our attorneys and staff are working from home, but a certain amount of staff members are in the office to deal with things like sorting mail and dealing with physical files to make sure that our service to our clients are uninterrupted. So as far as how things are working from home, Dave, feel free to chime in here, but I feel like my work from home setup has been good, and after a certain adjustment period, it is very much like being in the office to a certain extent. We thankfully have the technology now that we have access to all of our client files digitally. We have a virtual office phone. We have the means of communication via things like Zoom, telephone, email, messaging, that kind of thing that helps us kind of, I think to the extent possible, seamlessly communicate with both clients and with staff members and support staff and other attorneys on our cases. Do you feel the same way, that things are going pretty well from that perspective?
You know, I do, and it's amazing how well everyone, not just in our office, but I think most people in the legal community have adapted to the change. It's certainly not something we could have planned for or did plan for even a couple months ago, but I think we were all nervous about how it was going to go, but the transition, luckily, because of our great staff, has been really fantastic. I agree. I had never worked from home before, but it has been a relatively easy transition to be home, to be productive, and to communicate with clients, with whatever they need, communicate with other staff as well. So it's been a good transition, and I think it's good to let people know that we're fully up and running. If people have questions about anything, they can call the office at any time, and someone will be able to respond to them as we would usually. Let me just also point out that the emergency orders that the state has put in place have also allowed us to notarize documents and do things electronically, which we wouldn't have been able to do without the emergency orders. So, getting up and running on Zoom and other platforms, really, there's been no lapse in service as far as we're concerned, as far as what we're capable of providing for our clients.
Yeah, and luckily the court system itself, much of it is now electronic, as some of our clients may know. So from that perspective, and that transition has happened over the last few years, especially the last couple of years, it's been pretty fortuitous timing to allow us to file, in many cases, pleadings or motions or other documents that don't have to be physically signed, that don't even have to be printed and scanned. And from that perspective, I do feel like our workflow and our ability to respond quickly to client needs and litigation needs has been very smooth. The other thing is, we are very committed to our staff and client safety. So although our office is open, we should let everyone know that we have a lot of precautions in place, and we're asking folks to not come into the office unless absolutely necessary, and unless you give us a call ahead of time so we can set something up. We do have contingencies for things like socially distanced will signings and estate planning document signings, so we can accommodate those. now is a good time to communicate with our attorneys about important things like that, and we can certainly work on them and accommodate signings if time sensitive. But at the same time, we want as much of this communication to happen virtually or telephonically for the safety of our staff, and we're very sensitive to that as well. So unless you have anything else to add on the office side piece of things, Dave, I think it would be interesting to hear about how the court system is currently functioning.
Sure. So, at the early start of the shutdown, the court had to cancel all hearings for the most part were in person. And so the court has had to cancel tens of thousands of hearings in the district and superior court over the last couple months. But like, every other agency, the court is adjusting. They're back up to functioning at a pretty high level. The courthouses are open, but they're not open for in-person hearings. So everything is being done right now through a web service called WebEx, mostly in Superior Court. They're just starting to use it for hearings in family court and district court, but also just telephonically. The courts are allowing us to call in to the hearings, conduct, both substantive hearings for things, especially in family court, like temporary hearings or structuring conferences, things we can handle over the telephone, which has been great. The other improvement, I think, in some ways, is that in family law, we do a lot of family law mediations to try to work on issues before we have to go to a judge for a final decision. Even the mediators have realized that, they needed to adapt. And so mediations are taking place virtually. And it's like any other mediation where you have a private mediation room, breakout rooms. You can talk privately with your client. You can talk privately with the mediator. So, and you can do it all from the comfort of your own home. I can do it all from the comfort of my own home or office. So there really has been a good transition by the court system. And really, it's still evolving. The Superior Court in particular is trying to figure out how and when they're going to start with grand juries again, as well as jury trials. So those things are still being worked on. I assume that over the next coming weeks and months, we'll have a better picture of when, if you're awaiting a jury trial or awaiting a jury trial either civilly or criminally, we'll have a better sense of when those will be rescheduled for. But a lot of this is still just a work in progress. So the court's done a good job. They're basically getting back up and running and moving cases through the system. And it's, I think some of the improvements, I know Israel and I were in a CLE, a continuing legal education class a couple weeks ago, where we heard from the chief executive judges of each branch. And I think they are hoping that some of this, there are improvements that come about that are lasting improvements to make the court system more efficient for everybody. Did you have anything else from that training, Israel, that stuck out to you about court operations?
Yeah, just that there are going to be some growing pains from a virtual hearing perspective, that I think we all know that there can be problems with technology. There can be bad connections. There can be folks that are not really as adept at whatever the technological device is or software or whatever. But I think that even the judges are in that same boat, and everyone's kind of learning together to a certain extent. A lot of us have become a lot more comfortable with these Zoom type platforms in the last couple months. So things are I think things are going as smoothly as they can be. And the important thing is that from a substantive justice perspective, I think things are starting to move forward, at least in the civil arena, more as normal. We certainly, there are going to be some slowdowns, as Dave said, from a jury trial perspective, but not a lot of cases in the civil arena go to jury trials. So from that perspective, things are moving forward as I think normally as they could be under the circumstances.
Mm. And you know, it's funny. Each state court does things differently, but I just saw that Massachusetts has um, allowed for video depositions, which are done by agreement in New Hampshire, but not necessarily the norm. So I think the practice of law will be moving in that direction much more so over the next coming years, which, you know, for a firm like ours or for people across New Hampshire, I think it's a great thing because if you have limited access to attorneys in your area, we all have the capability now for the most part, especially, you know, Welts and Fontaine in particular has the capability to assist clients all over the state, whether it's, you know, way up north or out west in the Keene area. You know, really it's a phone call. As long as you have an internet connection, most likely we can do whatever you need us, you know, whatever legal services you need from us.
Yeah, and it can also have some cost saving element to it too, just from a pure travel perspective, from a pure, I know as attorneys, we're familiar with the concept of showing up for a hearing and being, you know, the 20th hearing in line and having to wait in court and charge a client for that time, you know, after traveling for an hour or half an hour or whatever it is. The nature of these telephonic hearings are such that they're pretty strictly scheduled within certain time frames. So you're in and out, there's not a lot of waiting, and there's no travel time. So that is a little bit of a silver lining from a client cost perspective. So that's something to think about as well.
Right.
So we certainly encourage everyone to give us a call, either myself or Dave or any of the other attorneys in our office. As you all know, we are a general practice law firm, and we offer attorney services in pretty much every major area of law, whether criminal or civil, family law, estate planning, real estate law, and personal injury law, and a lot of other areas as well. So feel free to give us a call. You can reach us on the telephone, 603-883-0797, or you can go to our website, lawyersnh.com, and contact us through there. So thank you all for tuning in today, and everyone stay safe. Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Israel.